years saying if we don't figure out a way to sell fuel efficiency and make money on fuel efficiency, we're toast. And they're creeping closer and closer, and I think when the current drama is over with the economy and industry volume and everything else, you're going to hear the industry begin to call for revenue-neutral gas taxes. We have a conspiracy of silence from the environmentalists. They want to backdoor every tax. Cap and trade is a complicated way to get to energy taxes, and it really is convoluted and volatile and unpredictable and difficult to manage, and would be a bureaucratic nightmare. But they want to backdoor the whole thing with cap and trade. And then you have our government officials, and you heard the governor. They basically feel that talking about gas taxes is the third rail in American politics, and they will lose the election. Our research, though, shows something quite different. I think if you said that 20 years ago, I think it was true, but I think the American people have really connected the dots about America's extreme dependence on imported oil and us sending out $500 billion or $1 trillion, depending on the price of petroleum, to Venezuela and the OPEC countries around the world is an unsustainable, dangerous process, and we need to go a new way. And our research shows that it's now past 50% of the people would support a revenue-neutral gas tax if it was part of a coherent energy policy. Whether we'll get our political leaders there, I don't know.
Mike, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
That's something that occurred to me. Which, in your view, of all the OEMs, because of this audience, and you'll hear the noise this afternoon, we're in motorsport, which of the OEMs leverages their motorsport activity best?
In motorsports?
Yeah, which of the OEMs?
Well, I think there's again, what I think works in motorsports is the connection of technology with racing, and that you're a technically advanced company that can compete and win at racing. And it doesn't have to be, I want to be clear here, you don't need to move the specific racing technology into the car. It's just that you as a manufacturer have demonstrated your understanding of technology and what it can do for the performance of vehicles. And I think the platforms that do that, the series that do that the best, and the manufacturers who are involved in those series that do it best are certainly Formula One, Indy Racing, and Le Mans Series Racing. I think they all do a brilliant job. And if you look at Ferrari, I don't think Ferrari could exist as a brand without racing. And certainly Porsche, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Honda, Toyota, BMW, all have made this technically advanced point of view through racing that then they can talk about technical advancement in their products. I think racing series that do not embrace technology going forward to enhance performance are going to, is my humble opinion, get left behind. I mean, if you're still running carbureted engines, what does that have to do with the future of the automobile industry? You might as well watch professional wrestling. So I think that's the key.
So, Mike, there's an interesting question I have for you on that, and that is that it doesn't have to be the direct. We want to help sell cars. Motorsport wants to help sell cars. So what you're saying is don't think too closely about the exact technology. Give the show place.
Exactly. I think if you try to make it a direct linkage, it's a bridge too far. It's a bridge you don't need to go across. However, where you allow technical innovation to lead to extraordinary performance, and that it can be the difference in winning or losing, that's important. If I look at a series like NASCAR where they're trying to equalize everything and it's about the driver, and you're dumbing it down, if you will, that's a hard sell to make. But if you look at other racing series like the ones I mentioned where technical innovation can be the difference between winning and losing, I think that's a compelling story.
Question here.
Just a quick follow-up question on the tax discussion. Sounds to me like the other developed nations have been able to find the threshold of tax on gasoline and be able to effectively use it for other social programs. What do you think is the threshold for the United States if we were to pursue such a heavy gas tax?
So first, if it has anything to do with raising revenue, it's dead on arrival. you do not stand a chance. If you say, I'm going to tax gasoline to do this, you're dead. The only chance it has is if it's revenue neutral. And because the sensitivity in the U.S. around the price of gasoline and taxation is so much higher, we don't have to do what Europe has done. We don't need $6 a gallon. We don't need $8 a gallon. And actually, I don't even need the tax today. You know, let the economy recover. But ultimately, we need a floor. It can even be a floor tax on the price of gasoline that keeps it at $4 a gallon and up. That's what we need in the good old US of A.
Is there a question, Ken?
I'm curious, do you think that there's a generational difference in terms of what people are willing to buy? I mean, I'm 30, and I think that a lot of people that are my age are more willing to look at sort of environmental issues as a buying criteria, rather than maybe somebody who's my dad's age, who, like you said, is more into the number of cylinders that's in the engine and all that.
I think there's a certain aspect to that, but I cannot emphasize enough that the bifurcation that I see in the marketplace is 5%, 95%. So if I take the 5%, within the 5%, it skewers towards younger individuals. That I agree with. But the fact of the matter is, you add it all together, it's still just 5% of the market that is green to the point that they're willing to express it with how they spend money, which is the world I live in. And the other 95%, it is a pure economic calculation, which if you don't take that into consideration, you get a disconnect. You know, when I talk to my fellow dealers, man, you want to talk about a hostile audience, talk about the gas tax. Those are interesting discussions, but you can really make it as simple as this. Let's say I run a little coffee stand in the morning, and I sell broccoli, and I sell Heavenly Donuts. And I sell 5% broccoli to health-conscious people, and 95% of people buying Heavenly Donuts. And the government comes in one day and says, you know, we really have to do something different here, and here's our plan. You have to sell 50% broccoli, and you're only allowed to sell 50% Heavenly Donuts, but don't worry, we're cutting the price of donuts in half. It doesn't work. It's not going to happen. Or the government says to me, listen, Mike, we want you to deal with the obesity problem in America, and here's the plan. Here's the plan. You have a lady comes in, she needs a size 12 dress. You're only allowed to sell her a size 8. Now, you can throw in a diet book, but you got to sell her size 8. I tell you, I'll get that book slammed over my head. It happens every day in the showroom. You've got to get the consumer involved beyond the 5% who are there and who are committed and have an important role in this, because that 5% is paying for the innovation. And innovation, the first steps in innovation are expensive. I mean, these hybrid systems, the first ones out, they're $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a vehicle. That is a discounted market price that actually gets put into the vehicle. And now Toyota is really up to the 4th generation, if you count the generation in Japan. And now they may be break even or make a little money, but it's still a significant price premium. So the 5% is crucial. It's paying for the innovation and carrying the water on innovation, but to get the other 95%, you've got to give it an underlying economic justification, or I promise you, America will just keep eating donuts. Here in the U.S., for a gas tax, you crush the price of petroleum. You crush it. So we still have cheap petroleum to run our industries. You tax gasoline, you keep the money in the U.S., and you've really stuck it to OPEC. Oh, that'd be sweet. It's almost treasonous not to support gas tax. You'd rather give it to OPEC than to keep it here.
Mike, I'd like to get your opinion.